Shalom everybody. Shavua Tov, Chodesh Tov, welcome back. Bezrat Hashem. We are continuing with Reb Noson's beautiful letter, letter 440, which was written in the year, again, it's 1843, 1 year before he passes away. The corresponding year, Tered, Tadar, which is 1844. Before we go into this, there's just some amazing insight I saw today I have to share on the Megillah. It says about Amalek, that Amalek, he's so bad, and when the Torah depicts what he did, the Torah says, Asher karecha baderech. Amalek, who, the word is used, cooled you off while traveling to Eretz Yisrael, to the Holy Land. Okay, the Parshat Vayavu Amalek. Amalek came, Vayilachem im Yisrael b'Refidim, and he battled against Israel while they were Refidim. Refidim means it's a place. Refidim is a place, but also it's rooted in the word Rifyon, that the Jews were weak, and that he fought the weak Jews, the Jews who were expelled from the cloud because they were blemished or they were impure, especially from the tribe of Dan. So he killed from those weak Jews. So the Torah also uses in that story, in that chapter, Asher karcha baderech, that Amalek cooled you off. So Rashi says, why is Amalek so bad? Because it can be compared to a crazy guy who jumps in to a boiling hot bathtub. So he gets burnt. But by him jumping into the boiling hot bathtub, he cools it off for the people afterwards to go in easily. He's like the sacrifice, he's the korban, and he cools it off for the people afterwards. So Amalek also, by being the first to attempt and attack the Jewish people, it made other nations say, if Amalek can do it, fight against the Jews, so we can also do it. So that's what Rashi says. On a deeper level, I just saw an amazing explanation from the commentary called Shem Mishmuel. Shem Mishmuel is commenting on the Midrash of Esther. There's the Midrash Rabbah on Esther. In the very opening, in the Midrash, before chapter 1, the Midrash offers what's called the Ptichata, like an intro to the whole Megillat Esther story, with Midrashim as an intro. So there's in explaining part of the Megillah, which we'll go into, he says something unbelievable. The nature of Amalek, and Haman followed suit in doing this, is that, what does it mean, Asher karcha baderech? Amalek cooled you off. What's cold? Cold, on the scientific level, is when the molecules stop moving. How does something freeze? That the molecules are stopping. Heat, when you, for example, put a pot on the stove. So the heat of the stove makes the water molecules start moving, and that produces energy, and that's the heat. So heat is associated with momentum. Cold is the exact opposite. When something freezes, it's almost like dead. You can freeze meat, freeze a body, chas v'shalom. When something is frozen, it's like the idea of being dead because there's no movement. So he says something unbelievable. He said, Haman, if you take a careful look in the verses in the actual Megillah, you'll see that Haman sent several letters about the future destruction of the Jews. And the initial letter wasn't at all saying to kill the Jews. It said, be ready for this date next year. So the initial generals who got the letter, they're saying, okay, what does this mean? And then the next letter, okay, be ready next year for the Jews. So then word got out, what's that? And then the next letter, get ready to destroy the Jews on this day. It was step by step to make people in suspense. And when word got out of the letters, so people are wondering, what does he mean? What does that say? And by getting people into curious mode, so it got them to worry slowly, but also to accept it and not to be on guard. Why? Because Haman knew that if he would instantly send out the decree for the Jews, they would instantly turn to Hashem and cry out, and it would be answered because they would do tshuva. So the whole thing in the Purim story is it says that Mordechai, when he found out about the decree, how did he find out about the decree? The Midrash says that Eliyahu Navi himself came to tell Mordechai, you should know that it's been decreed in heaven to destroy the Jews. So only Mordechai was made known of the actual extent of the severity of the decree. And because he went on the streets with sackcloth and screaming and crying, and they're asking, why are you crying, Mordechai? And he said about the decree, because of him, the Jews were made known of the decree, and he started to cry and worry also. But the initial letters that Haman sent out, as the Shem Mishal points out, they were not yet like, okay, it could be this, it could be that. So the guards were down. Okay, so this tactic, he says, the Shem Shmuel, is unique to Amalek. Amalek is called Asher Karcha. He works with cold. What does it mean, work with cold? The way Amalek attacks is slowly, without you feeling the pinch. Without you feeling the pinch. And once he got you like a little bit off, okay, it's nothing, let's just go on with life. Once you've accepted the little pinch, okay, another pinch, another stronger pinch. It's nothing, okay? Who used this tactic in history? Hitler. It's known, Hitler himself said about it. He says the way we're going to get the Jews is not going to be in one shot. We have to introduce decrees slowly, step by step. That way they don't feel it. And by them not feeling it, we'll easily get them. And that's what happened. It was a process. It wasn't like, all of a sudden, attacking the Jews. It happened step by step. First, the Jews in Germany, they were limited in this, limited in that. And then once every decree was accepted, okay, we'll get used to it. And we're persecuted because we're Jews, so it's part of life, and we accept it. And they weren't like running away or davening or doing things crazy, like, getting active and do activism against it. They just accepted it. Because people, when we look back, we wonder, how could this have happened? When we look back, we flip out, how could such a severe thing of killing 6 million Jews have happened? And no one did anything about it. No one said anything. And the truth is, yes, because Hitler's approach is in the Midrash, Asher Karcha, cold. To work cold means slow, no momentum. Because heat is momentum. Cold is very slow, very slow. And that's how Amalek works. That's how Haman worked. That's how Hitler worked. They go step by step. So a person doesn't feel the severity of the punch because it's a little bit. I can handle a little bit. And when the enemy, Amalek, Haman, Hitler, they see, oh, you accepted? Now we introduce another level. And then they wait for you to accept it. And then by the time you see you're already at the end and you can't turn back now. Like there's no hope at this point. How did you get into it? Because it's a type of psychological trick unique to Amalek. Kal. Work cold with people. Cold. Don't let them feel that you're getting them, that you're killing them. Do it slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, this is unbelievable. That the Yetzirah wants to kill you, the evil wants to kill you, and wants you to convince you to agree about it. It's like that famous story, I used to say it a lot, that towards the end of the Holocaust, the war, the German soldiers and generals were fed up about losing the war. Hitler didn't care anymore about winning the war. His big concern was to kill as many Jews as possible. So that when the Germans finally reached Hungary, the German soldiers and generals and everything, they were willing to make an exchange to get ammunition because ammunition was low. They were losing the war against Russia. They were low in ammunition and missiles and bombs and this. So they wanted to find a way to make a deal. So they would, before entering of Ashtetl, a village in Hungary, they would go to the rabbi and say, if you get together by next week, like $25,000, whatever, marks, whatever currency, by next week, we won't kill any of the Jews. Okay? So they started doing that. It worked to an extent, but there were many corrupt Nazi generals and soldiers that wanted the money and still killed the Jews. So they came to one certain village. I forgot the name of the Rav and the name of the village. They said, if you come up with this amount of money, we won't kill any of the Jews. So the rabbi flipped the world to contact Jews outside of Hungary, in Geneva, in Switzerland, in America, and they were able to wire him money, and he had all the money ready, and it was a winter day, and he had his fireplace burning in his home, and the German soldiers on the day came. Before they came, he found out that they were still planning to kill the Jews. So he had all the money in his hand, and he said to the German soldiers, the officers, not only do you want to kill us, but you want us to pay you for it? So he took the money, he threw everything in the fire. They obviously killed the rabbi, obviously. But that idea is exactly how Amalek, Haman, Hitler works. How does Amalek work? He tries to convince you to sign away your life, and in other words, to kill you, and that you consent to it. That's what the rabbi is saying. You want us to pay you for killing us? That's exactly how Amalek works. It's okay, you're getting older. It's okay, you don't get up in the morning anymore. It's okay that you eat the way you eat. It's all types of excuses why it's okay to be bad, to be wrong. It's okay, and then you reach a point where you're 180 degrees opposite of where you wanted to initially be in life. You see that you're so much steeped in sheker, in falsehood, that you're 180 degrees, and you agree to it. Yitzhak, Amalek, he subconsciously convince you it's okay, it's only this. Okay, so you don't get up anymore. All right, look at the generation. What do you compare yourself to Tzaddikim of 20 years ago? Look at your generation. Be thankful that you're not as bad as other people are, and you're only this bad. So he convinces you, and once he convinces you one stage, once you've accepted it, okay, now more sheker. And then it reaches a point where a person sees, I'm now 180 degrees opposite of where I wanted to be in life, and I consented to it. That's how Haman, that's kar. That's working cold of a person. Slowly, slow, and that way attacking. Okay? They say about Rabbi Rosenfeld, I heard this from students of Rabbi Tzvi Rosenfeld, this Breslover. They said about him that if he were living in Eastern Europe at the time of World War II, he would have been one of the first people to leave as soon as there were indications of any of this happening. He would be the first one, they said, to pack his baggage and leave. Most Jews, they left too late. That was the whole problem. They waited. The Jews in Germany, they waited. There are other Jews that were stuck, but they said, it's not going to be so bad. All types of excuses. Jews who were smart, they left fast, okay? Jews who didn't know, so they felt it's not so bad, we can handle this, okay? They had no idea what was waiting for them. That was the whole trick of the Nazis and everything. That's how Amalek works, kar, okay? So now, in the Megillah though, like the Shem Yeshua points out, who made the Jews known that there's a problem? Mordechai. Mordechai, he said this is not to be taken lightly. People thought Mordechai was nuts, by the way. Not everybody was for Mordechai. What are you screaming for? Even Esther, shh, what are you making too much noise for? He says, no, there's a decree. And he showed her Haman's decree with the explanation from Eliyahu Navi that this is serious. This is not a joke. This is going to be the destruction of the Jews totally. Okay? She also didn't even know to accept it. It was only because he, with the background that he got from Eliyahu Navi, telling him that this is serious. In heaven, that's it. It's finished. The Jews are finished. You may think, it's okay. It says not degree. Rebbe Nachman's time, the exact same thing. In Rebbe Nachman's time, there was talks from the new emperor of the Russian emperor who just took over that part of Ukraine. I think it was named Tsar Nikolai. I forgot what was his name. Alexander, I forgot. And there were now decrees against the Jews that they're going to force the Jews into the army, and they're going to limit the Jews in where they can move, where they can live, and all types of decrees. So Rebbe Nachman said, and they're going to force the Jewish children to have secular education. Rebbe Nachman said that this is serious. And many other rabbis in his time said, it's going to pass. Rebbe Nachman said, if the other Tzaddikim were with me on my side, and would believe, like as much as I believe, that this is really bad, and we would have all davened together and get all the Jewish people, the Hasidim and the followers to daven, we would have been able to nullify it. As it is, he said, I've been able to push off the decree for 25 years. That's exactly what happened. 25 years after Rebbe Nachman made this statement, in the year 1825, that's when the decree came in to force conscription, to force the Jewish kids into the army. He said, I pushed it off for 20-something years. And that's exactly what happened. But he said if the other tzaddikim would have taken it seriously like I did, then we would have been able to nullify it totally. And it's a trick. It's a trick of the Amalek. It's nothing. That's nothing. It's a small decree. So what? Okay. It's like the Jews now living in France, living in Canada, in America. We see anti-Semitism. What do they say? Life goes on, life goes on. It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. The problem is people don't see the wake-up call because it's cold. It works slowly. You don't feel it. I went to work today, nothing happened. Nobody threw anything at me. I went shopping, I'm okay, and this and that. There was an incident a few months ago, but the police got involved. They arrested the people and everything. So it's cold, cold, cold. Someone who has eyes and sees clearly this is not going to stop, and it's one step, one step, one step. Then if people don't see that, then they get stuck afterwards. Chas v'shalom. Fortunate the people wake up and pack their bags and leave and come to Eretz Yisrael. Now, today, there's no excuse for Jews not to move to the Holy Land. Okay? The only excuse can be is Jews who want to live still in diaspora in order to support the Jews in Israel. That's it. That's my opinion. My opinion is Jews living in the diaspora, it's they should give support for the Jews living in Eretz Yisrael. Besides that, you have no excuse not to live here. Here there's food, here there's houses, here there's recreation, there's parks, there's water parks, there's zoos, there's monkeys. Okay, if you're a secular Jew, you have cinema. What can I tell you? They have movies. Okay, they have concerts here. There's a lot of kosher food. There's nice fashion. The fashion here sometimes is like crazy. It's even more than sometimes in America. Sometimes it's really crazy when you see the fashion available at the stores and everything. Everything that's in Chutz La'aretz, okay, we have it here more or less. You can live here. You can survive here. No, I need my big giant car and the big roads, and come on, that's all excuses. There's no excuse for Jews really living outside of Eretz Yisrael anymore. If yes, it's in order to have enough funds and money and an income to support the Jews in Eretz Yisrael. That's it. Okay? But the point is that the Mordechai is the one who told the Jews, who woke them up. And that's the message here also. That when you have a tzaddik in your life, the tzaddikim make sure you don't get cold. Cold is Amalek. Who's the one who's against Amalek and Haman? Mordechai. Mordechai is the antithesis of Haman Amalek. Moshe Rabbeinu sent Yehoshua to fight Amalek. Yehoshua, the Zohar says, was the extension of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why he sent Tzeh hilachem b'Amalek. You, my disciple, you fight. Meaning, even after tzaddik passes on, he leaves disciples who radiate enough power and energy of the message of the tzaddikim, as if when they were still alive, that the students, even after the passing of the tzaddikim, have that potential and power to tell people to wake up, and it gets through. Because he's coming with the strength of the tzaddikim. Like Yehoshua fought Amalek with the strength of Moshe Rabbeinu, so to today, with the influence left behind by these true tzaddikim, in our case, because we're biased, Rebbe Nachman, his teachings and his students till today, so that power is strong enough to counter the coldness of Amalek and to wake up people, hey, don't fool yourself, don't get stuck in the sheker of Haman Amalek, wake up Bezrat Hashem, okay? That's why a person needs a tzaddik in his life. A person needs a tzaddik because a tzaddik maintains and makes sure that you don't fool yourself. Rebbe Nachman once said, I want to tell you a secret. This world fools everybody. Don't let this world fool you also. It fools everybody. Everybody's being fooled. Forget about now the Goyim. For sure they're being fooled. The ones who don't know about Judaism. In the Jewish world, for sure the secular Jews are being fooled. And then in the religious world itself, those who don't know about these teachings are also being fooled. And it goes on, even within the movement of closer you get to the tzaddikim, you have those also misrepresentation, misinterpretation at every level. Okay? One has to really, really work hard to find the emet, to find the truth, to find what's called the emes or emes, the real truth. To keep on, it's a constant work, not to get sucked in to status quo. And okay, it's like acceptable, it's everything's doing this, and you calm down on your fire to come close to Hashem. Amalek is cold. When a person has cold feet and he's getting cold, it's Amalek playing the game. Who's the antithesis? The tzaddik. I need to find these tzaddikim to keep me awake and alert against the problem of Haman Amalek. Okay, fine. So now with that intro, I just want to we'll continue now with the letter. So again, we're at the end of letter 440 from Reb Noson's beautiful letters. which again were written, these letters, he was starting to write his beautiful, beautiful discourse called Birkat Hoda'ah, the blessings of giving thanks to Hashem. Discourse number 6, where Reb Noson goes so deep in the power of Simcha, and how Simcha, especially giving thanks, is such a weapon for a Jew to overcome all sorrow, all difficulties in life. Because when you focus on the Simcha, when you work to focus on the Simcha when being faced with adversity, so this allows good energy to come your way. It's not easy, but it's better than focusing on the difficulty, on the trauma, on the pain. When you focus on it, it just sucks you in more. It makes you more feeling stressed and more feeling miserable. So you don't get anywhere. Whereas if you force yourself to be happy, yes, because this is you're being, it's or this or falling. It's like people say, why force being happy? It sounds so fake. Okay, so don't force being happy and then pay the consequence of facing your traumas and stress and getting sucked in, and then 20 years later you say you were right, I made a mistake. That's all we need. Reb Noson is looking at the end. He said, if you want to get out, ki besimcha tetzeu, with simcha you get out. Okay? So Reb Noson, I'm not going to go more into this because I went into this too many times already. Reb Noson began to write this beautiful discourse while he started writing this letter, Bezat Hashem. It can leak through some of the ideas of we saw earlier about Hanoten Nayav Koach, how we bless Hashem for giving strength to the weary and appreciation of the good. We now want to finish the letter, Bezat Hashem. So we are like the second last paragraph before the end of the letter. So he says like this. Reb Noson again is writing from Breslov, which is central Ukraine, to Kremenchug, which is eastern Ukraine. He's writing to one of his closest disciples, Rabbi Ephraim, the son of Reb Naftali. So he says like this: V'todi'eni mishelom kol anshe shlomenu. There were obviously Breslover Hasidim all over. There were pockets of Breslover Hasidim in all these villages that Reb Noson was traveling to. You have a letter 440. I forgot which page. And even in Kremenchug, as far as it was from Breslov, there were also Breslover Hasidim there. Because don't forget, Rebbe Nachman, when he was alive, he lived nearby. He lived in a few cities there. One called Zlatipolia, another one called Medvedevka, and another village which people don't know exactly where it is today was called Osyatin. And Rebbe Nachman developed a following in his lifetime in eastern Ukraine. That's why after he left, there continued to be Breslover Hasidim in that vicinity, those cities. So Reb Noson is saying, "V'todi'eni mishlom kol anshe shlomenu." Please, Rabbi Ephraim Naftali, let me know the whereabouts, the well-being of all our fellow Breslover Hasidim. Umishlomcha hatov, and write back to me about how you're doing, in good spirits, in good peace. Umishlom banecha sheiche, and what's happening with your sons. At this point, in 1843, Rabbi Ephraim Naftali was born before Rebbe Nachman passed away in 1810. He already had children who were married already at this point in 1843, 1844. So he says, in particular, Bifrat, Mishelom bincha yedidi Rabbi Yechiel Nero Yair. In particular, I want to know what's happening, the whereabouts of your son, my friend, Rabbi Yechiel, may his light shine. It appears, I tried to research as much as I could, this Rabbi Yechiel, like his father, not as much as his father, had a very good connection to Reb Noson and also supported him in his projects of printing the books and supported Reb Noson himself. So that's why Reb Noson is extending a special greetings and wanting to know about this Rabbi Yechiel. This Rabbi Yechiel is someone very special. I just wanted to go more details about him. Bezat Hashem. V'zugato shetichya. Let me know what's happening about him and his wife. Reb Noson says his concern for their family. Now watch this. V'gam todi'eni mididenu havatik morenu harav Nachman ben Chaya zichron levracha neched admuzal. I just want you to know in the English translation here, there's a printing error. It says Chana, and it's supposed to be Chaya. Rebbe Nachman did not have a daughter named Chana; he had a daughter named Chaya. So he says here, also let me know about the whereabouts about our dear friend, my dear old friend, our master and teacher, Reb Nachman, the son of Chaya, of blessed memory. Chaya, by this time, 1843, she passed away already. That's why Reb Noson says of blessed memory on her. This man, his nickname was called Reb Nachman Chayales. Chaya, I think, is the third daughter of Rebbe Nachman. She married a man named Rav Yosele Zaslavsky. Lubarsky. And he passed away only after a year being married to Chaya. And in that year, she became pregnant. And that means she had only one son from her first husband, Rav Yosel Lubarsky. And that's why they called him Nachman Chayalets, because she remarried a descendant of the Balatanya, of the first Lubavitcher Rebbe. And the second husband's last name was Zaslavsky, and she had more children from the second marriage. So to differentiate this Nachman from the other children, they called him Nachman of Chaya. Because, in other words, he wasn't the child of the fathers of the second marriage, but his father was from her first marriage. She got married also after Rebbe Nachman passed away. Reb Noson was the one who coordinated the marriage, the shidduch of this Chaya. They say about her, Chaya, she was extremely modest. She would go out like these ladies in Sharm that they wear the shawl, and she would have like one eye uncovered so she can see where she was going. But she was so modest, she covered herself up like I don't want to say Taliban, that's not nice. But covered up like a shawl, totally covered up. She was very, very careful on the tzniut, and she had beautiful children, Baruch Hashem. So Nachman Chayales was highly respected by Rav Noson, and this is because Rabbi Nachman instructed us to give major respect to his descendants. Rabbi Nachman said about his descendants, he took them from a place way, way above. He said he took the neshamot of his children, and by extension the grandchildren and great-grandchildren till today, he took them from a place called above Atzilut in the Kabbalah. Atzilut is considered the highest level. He said, Rebbe Nachman, he was able to bring down such holy souls for his children that they come from such a high level, and therefore he instructed us to respect his children. And till today, in Breslov, it's a big thing to respect descendants of Rebbe Nachman. Now, till today, there are books that show you the family lineage. Many, many families in Chabad, in Karlin, in Gur, many other Chassidiot, and unfortunately even secular Jews who are descended from Rebbe Nachman till today. And when Breslovers find out that he's a descendant, she's a descendant, they say, "Oh, you're a descendant of Rebbe Nachman." All of a sudden, let me serve you some food. Let me take, like at a wedding, they say, "Oh, let me pour you a cup of water, a drink, whatever." There's a big thing to respect descendants of Rebbe Nachman. They're not treated as a Rebbe, but like Rebbe Nachman said, to respect them, because they come from a high place. There was a descendant of Rebbe Nachman who I knew. He passed away not long ago, like within the last 10 years. His name was Rav Shimshon Barsky, a very elder, Breslov elder from Bnei Brak. Also, children in the Gur Hasidic community. And when he was a young teenager learning in Yerushalayim, and he would make an effort to daven in a Breslov minyan on Shabbat in Yerushalayim. So at that time, there was another Breslover from Poland. His name was Rebbe Freimel of Pshetsburz. He's buried on the Mount of Olives on Har Zeitim. This Rebbe Freimel, he would, to fulfill Rabbi Nachman's wish to respect his descendants, he would give this Rav Shimshon Barsky, even though he was already like a teenager, 16, 17, he would give him a toffee. Just to show some respect, he'd give him like a candy, to show that he's showing him some respect and everything. And Rabbi Nachman said his descendants, they have a special level of immaculate derech eretz. They act in a way of conduct which is nice, high standards. The normal attitude of the descendants of Rebbe Nachman, that they're not like schleppers and schlemazels, but normally they have a high attitude of derech eretz and proper immaculate behavior. Baruch Hashem. That's something, a trait that Rebbe Nachman ingrained in the majority of his descendants. But it's a big thing to respect them, and based on that, you're going to see how Reb Noson is talking now. So look what he says. Gam todi'eni, again, we're just recapping, and also let me know about the whereabouts of our dear friend Havatik, my old dear friend, Moreinu Harav, our master, our teacher, Nachman, the son of Chaya, of blessed memory, who's the grandson of Rabbi Nachman, Neched Admur Zal, the Neched, the grandson of our Rebbe, Alav Shalom, in Kvar Nasa Me'itechem, if he has already traveled from you. This Rav Nachman Chayales, he lived not far from Reb Noson, in a village called Tulchin. He moved to Tulchin because he married the daughter, the granddaughter of Rav Shlomo of Karlin. The Karliner dynasty, people, I don't know if they know about this, but Rav Shlomo of Karlin, who's like the son of Rav Aaron of Karlin, the Karliner dynasty. So his son, Rav Shlomo Karlin's son, Rav Dov, was the father-in-law of this Rav Nachman Chayales. And this Rav Dov was a follower of Rabbi Nachman's uncle. I hope you don't lose track of all the details here. Rabbi Nachman's uncle, his name is Rav Baruch of Mezhebush. Rav Baruch of Mezhebush, he was a Rebbe, and the way of Rebbes was that they were like a Rebbe of not just one village, but like in many villages where the majority of the Hasidim there took upon themselves to be followers of a certain Rebbe. So Rav Baruch of Mezhebush happened to have been the Rebbe of Breslov, the Rebbe of Tulchin, and that vicinity, that area in central Ukraine. He was a Rebbe of these many, many villages. So because of that, this Rav Dov, the son of Shlomo Karlin, who was a follower of Rav Baruch Mezhebush, he moved to Tulchin, because that's where the followers of Rav Baruch Mezhebush lived, and he had houses there, and it was easy when his daughter married Rav Nachman to give them a house to live in. However, this Rav Nachman, even though he was a descendant of Rabbi Nachman, he was very poor. Very poor. Rav Noson worked very hard to get him support, and he wrote in some letters, I have no way how to find some money to support this special neshama, this special tzaddik, and we need help to try to build up to help him. So he would go around traveling to try to raise funds. So it seems one of the reasons why he traveled all the way to eastern Ukraine was to raise funds, but also eventually his son or daughter ended up marrying one of the children or grandchildren of this Rebbe Ephraim that this letter is to. So there became a connection in their families also. So it could be went there to speak or about the Shidduchim or about money that he needed. So he's not from Kremenchug. I'm sorry to go into these details, but it's so important to know the details of these tzaddikim, because like Rebbe Nachman said, that in time to come, many stories are going to be told about my followers. So we want as much accuracy as we can, B'ezrat Hashem, in the details of these amazing people. So he's saying again, also let me know about our friend Rav Nachman, the son of Chaya, if he already if he has already left Kremenchug. Uma pa'al etzel mechutano. Oh, you see? And what did he was able to do with his mechutano? Mechutano can mean his father-in-law. It also means like a family member. And what he's able to accomplish with you. This is or for shidduchim matters or for monetary matters. If he didn't leave yet, because Reb Noson has no idea where he's holding, there's no email, there's nothing. Tifros bishlomo be'ahava me'iti umikol anshe shlomenu. Look how Reb Noson talks. If he's still by you, then please send him my warm regards with love from me and from all the Breslov Chasidim. Okay? And this is the way Reb Noson speaks to the descendants of Rebbe Nachman. And Ubifrat, in particular, send him warm regards. This is amazing. This is like an amazing Shalom Bayit lesson here. Mishelom zugato tichye v'yotzei chalatzav she'ichyu mitulchin. And make sure you send also warm regards from his wife to him. His wife sends him regards. You know, it's rare. The wife says, you know, what's happening with my husband? Please send him my warm regards. And his children who are living in Tulchin. Ki Rabbi Nachman mitulchin hu b'ka'et bebeiti. Rav Noson had a disciple who was called Rav Nachman of Tulchin. This is not to be confused with this Rav Nachman, the son of Chaya. Rav Nachman of Tulchin was an orphan, and he was raised by his uncle, and he connected to Rav Noson at a young age, like before the age of 12. And from the age of 12, he was so impressed by Rav Noson, he decided that for the rest of his life he wants to be attached to him. He became Rav Noson's primary disciple, this Rav Nachman of Tulchin, and he was so poor also, he couldn't afford a wagon to go by wagon. He would walk on foot from this village, which is like almost like a day walk or half a day, good 6-8 hours of walking in the cold, in the snow, crazy Ukrainian winters. He would walk to be by Reb Noson and to spend as much time helping him and serving him. So you can imagine what an amazing wife he had to let him have the time to do that. Okay, so Reb Nachman of Tulchin, who also was a friend to this Reb Nachman, the son of Chaya. So he said, Reb Nachman of Tulchin is now in my home, and he said, Reb Nachman of Tulchin, that Reb Nachman Chayal's wife, may she live, again, the daughter of Dov, the son of Rav Shlomo of Karlin, Biksha oto me'od lifros bishlom ba'ala Rebbe Nachman. Look at this, how much she loves her husband. She asked Rav Nachman Tulchiner very much to send her warm greetings, to send her warm greetings to her husband, Rebbe Nachman of Chayalis, the descendant of Rebbe Nachman. Okay, like this is like a big thing for these people. Descendants of Rebbe Nachman, even the wife wants to send regards. So watch what he says. Hashem yitbarach yatzlicho v'yashuv leveito b'shalom. May Hashem blessed be He. Let him be successful in what he's doing. If it's again for shidduchim matters, if it's for monetary matters, and he should come back to his home in peace. And then Reb Noson's blessing to this descendant of Rebbe Nachman. Look how he says it. It's unbelievable. Ve'yizkeh la'asok b'torah u'tfilah kol yemei chayav. And may Rav Nachman Chayalis merit to be involved in Torah and prayer all the days of his life. Kana'el avotenu akdoshim, as is fitting to our holy forefathers. Really, he's trying to say to his forefathers, you are a descendant of Rebbe Nachman. Because of that, you have a certain level of responsibility to maintain a high level of holiness, more than average people. So Reb Noson is blessing him that he should be zocheh, not to have to spend so much time traveling. Rather, he should have the merit to be involved in Torah study and prayer all the days of his life, as is fitting for such a person. To Avotenu Akdoshim, Reb Noson calls his ancestors like his own ancestors. To as is fitting our holy ancestors. Yater mizeh ein pnai larich. More than this, Rav Ephraim, I can't go on in the letter. I have to stop here. Divrei ohavcha be'emet lanetzach. Look how these people write to each other. How much they really care for each other. These are the words of someone who truly loves you. Who talks like that? You know, people normally, like you write to a rabbi, or your Rav, he won't write like this, someone who really loves you. They write, okay, thank you, signed, and that's it. Rav Noson is writing from the heart. These are the words of someone who truly loves you. Lanetzach, forever. Because the bond, in Breslov they say the bond people have is an eternal bond. That's it, it's eternal. So the words of the one who loves you forever, umitzapeh li'tshuvatcha mehera, and I'm waiting anxiously to have your response very quickly, very soon. Uma'atir batchem, and I'm davening for you. Noson mi Breslov. Beautiful. Then he goes on, there's a PS, there's like an addendum to the letter. V'tifros be'ahava, and please send my loving greetings. Bishlom yadidi hanagid moreinu harav tzvi hanal. Please send with love my greetings to my dear friend, the prominent, wealthy person, our master, Rav Tzvi. Tzvi was mentioned earlier in the letter, if you remember at the very beginning, that Rosh talking about the money needed to be sent. And he said, even though the money, his word is like the money is by me already, still it's good to just mention to him, to remind him, because I know he won't take it personally, and it can just boost it to be faster for him to send the funds. So he's saying at the end of that's Rav Tzvi that he spoke about earlier, please send him my loving regards. In kol bnei beito v'yotzei chalatzav sheichyu, to him, because he was a very big, this Rav Tzvi and Rav Ephraim, they were both very big supporters of Rav Noson. Whenever he reached out to them, they would flip the world to do whatever they can do to help him. They didn't like, may Hashem help you, Hashem Yazor. They were there. Rav Noson just had to say something, and whatever you say. That's why he said earlier, his word for me is like it's already have it in the box. It's like I already have in my pocket the money. If he said, okay, I'm going to do this, it's like Rav Noson, I already have it in my pocket already, because his word is a word. So he really, really has a strong connection to these people. Why is that the case? because it's a pasuk. Rebbe Nachman brings this pasuk in lesson 17. Hon Yosif Re'im Rabim. It's a verse from Proverbs that money adds a lot of friends. People who are rich, they have a lot of friends. Everybody likes rich people, okay? But in this case, when a person gives tzedakah to the tzaddik, he says this in lesson 17, and the tzaddik is like a neshama that's called an all-inclusive soul. It's like a tree. The Arizal explains this. A tree has the main stem, the main bark, the main root, and then you have the main branches, and then smaller branches, and then you get to the leaves, and then the fruit. So too, the tzaddik, Yesod Olam, the foundation tzaddik, like Moshe Rabbeinu to say, is like the trunk of the tree, this image of the tree, and then extending from his neshama, believe it or not, or under his jurisdiction, are now the main branches, branches extending from the trunk, which is like the bigger rabbis, bigger tzaddikim, and then lesser and lesser to get to the regular simple Jews. But they all are connected to the root soul of this tzaddik. Okay, so he teaches Rebbe Nachman that when a Jew has the merit to give tzedakah to tzaddikim, it's like he's not giving to one person; it's like he's giving to 1 million people. When you give tzedakah to a regular Jew, and they give tzedakah to a tzaddik, so here I gave tzedakah to a Jew, so I get a mitzvah of tzedakah, which is humongous, but to one Jew. When I give tzedakah to a tzaddik, or the cause of the tzaddik, the teachings of the tzaddik, the movement, the followers, etc., so you're not giving to one individual cause or person. It's like 1 million, even 1 billion. It goes up and up and up, because you're giving to an address which includes in it many other benefits. And even the simple Jew, he indirectly is receiving his sustenance, that the tzaddikim, they get sustenance. It's a big teaching in Breslov. That when the tzaddikim have the proper sustenance, automatically the rest of the Jews in the world have their sustenance. That's why you have a choice. I only have $1. Do I give it to a tzaddik or a regular Jew? So one person would say, what do you differentiate? A Jew is a Jew. Give. Yes, but if I give to the tzaddik and give him some, what's called harchava, you give a tzaddik a break from his suffering and his devotions. If now the tzaddik has, Rebbe Nachman talks about this, he has some opening of leeway due to help, so this eventually brushes off his devotions, which are at a much higher level, can have a rippled effect on the other simple Jew, that he can have it also easy. When the tzaddik has it easy, it has a rippled effect on the rest of the world. That's why if I have a choice, I have $100, or here, I can't split it, okay? Or here or there. So it's best to give to the tzaddikim. This all Rebbe Nachman talks about in lesson 17, Likutey Moharan, because it has a major influence, okay? So again, these people were giving to a big cause. And the love bond generated, when people give tzedakah to the right address, there is a bond. Not just because, okay, you're giving, but you're doing something amazing. You're giving tzedakah, you're giving from your blood money. You're giving this blood money, connecting it to point B. If point B now is this idea of the tzaddik, so it has major ramifications on an eternal level. There's a verse, tzidkato omedet la'ad. Oh, it's a verse, and we say it in our davening, and his righteousness stands forever. Reb Noson asks in the Likutey Halachot, which tzedakah, because the word says righteousness, but it also translates as charity. Which tzedakah stands forever? Tzidkato omedet la'ad. His tzedakah stands forever. Which charity is considered for eternal? But when we say eternal, it means like it has major powerful ramifications, much more than any other mitzvah, that it goes forever, it stays forever. He says that the tzedakah that's given to the tzaddikim, that tzedakah has major ramifications for a long time. So with this you can understand Reb Noson's warm connection to these people who are supporting Breslov causes, supporting the printing of the books, supporting Reb Noson, because his whole thing is to spread Rebbe Nachman's light. So again, he says, send my loving regards and greetings to my dear friend, the prominent, wealthy philanthropist, if you want to say, our teacher, Rav Tzvi, mentioned above, Im kol bnei beito, and his whole family, because Rav Noson was close to all of them. They were all close to Rav Noson, these people. They all loved and respected, not just Rav Tzvi, but his family, his wife, his kids. Everyone, they all had a good connection with Reb Noson. Ubishlom kol anshe shtomenu, send my regards to all the Breslov Hasidim there in your vicinity. He said that earlier though. Bishlom kol, no, he didn't say. He said, let me know about what's happening with the Breslovers. Ubifrat bishlom chotencha yedidi nero yair. And Rabbi Ephraim, let me know how the peace is, how it's going with your father-in-law. My dear friend, may his light shine. Utikabel mimenu ma shemagia meito. And don't forget to get from him the funds that he committed to send. Kimdume sach yutzuvim. It appears to me, if I remember correctly, he committed to send 10 gold, it's called gold coins. That was the currency back then. 10 gold, whatever. And send those monies from your father-in-law with the money that you will be receiving to send me. Send it together. Gam tishlach li hamaot be'ad ha-baidel, a funny word. And send me, please, the money for the baidel. You see, it's translated there as a booth. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what Reb Noson was building. A little booth. Kfi ma shetuchal ligbot, whatever, according to you, whatever funds you can get together. Ach, blik tatot ubizionot chas shalom. However, don't fight to get the monies and no insulting, God forbid. Okay? That's amazing. In other words, this is something very important of Noson's teaching. Don't try to squeeze people to the extent of making them feel bad. Okay, take the money. There's some people like that. Some people, they know how to, the people who are fundraisers, they know how to nudge and make the person feel bad about giving. And okay, take it already. Okay, good for nothing and everything. So you have people who are like that. They know how to nudge and they don't care about their bizyono because they're more concerned about the money. So Noson's warning that by our case of Breslov, we don't fight for the money. You give, all right. You don't, okay. It's like that story by the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov's way of collecting tzedakah, when he would go collecting tzedakah for many causes, if it was for redeeming people who were in prison, or for Achnasat Kala, or for orphans and widows. So he would knock on the door, and he wouldn't wait for them to open the door. He would go to the next door. And he would then knock on the next door, and ask them, the guy said, hey, where'd you go? He said, I have to make my ishtadut. My input is knocking on the door. That's it. Now, how Hashem's going to send the money, that's Hashem's business. I knocked on the door, and now I go to the next door. They were so impressed by the Baal Shem Tov and his level of faith and trust. They said, wow, I want to give to someone like that. So he would knock and leave. So Reb Noson's attitude is, the way to raise tzedakah is with a smile, and you're happy. I'm doing my ishtadut. I'm doing my vessel, my inputs. What's a good word for translation for ishtadut? I'm doing my effort. That's a good word. I'm putting my effort in doing the mitzvot, and how Hashem deems fit how to send me the funds, He'll do so. I'm not going to go, oh, I should do like this and that, and being crazy and under pressure. So Reb Noson is warning Rebbe Ephraim, and it's a very important point here. Blik tatot umer bizionot, without quarrels and insults, chas shalom. Lekayem al yevoshu v'chule. I wanted to look up this verse. I forgot to look it up. It's a verse. Al yevoshu. It's a verse from Tehillim. They should not be put to shame. Rak chaim v'shalom. Amen. Rather, just peace and life. Amen. I really want to look up that verse because there's a lot of input when Reb Noson brings a verse. Baruch Hashem, we finished this letter, and there's a lot of cute things that we picked up. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh to appreciate these letters. And B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, so thank you for joining. For more on lesson 24, you can go to lesson 24.breslovtherapy, BRESLOV therapy.com. And if you'd like to support, here also I'm asking nicely, if you'd like to support our cause in trying to spread Rebbe Nachman's teachings in this format called Breslov Therapy, you can do so at donate.breslovtherapy.com. Thank you, Chodesh Tov, and don't forget to be happy, B'ezrat Hashem, especially in this beautiful month. Thank you for joining.